Hello and welcome to episode 161 of Sabbath Worship with Ben. Hope you all enjoy it, and as usual we'll have a lesson and a presentation. Hope you all will have a blessed Sabbath. This week's memory verse is, "We are the servants of the Lord Most High, whose temple we do build up." It's found in Ezra 5:11. The lesson is entitled Temple Building and You. This story is about the rebuilding of the temple. So after the Israelites were released from their captivity by Cyrus, after King Darius, he ordered the Jews to go home because he wanted the people in his empire to be content and happy. So he allowed the Jews to return to Israel, whoever wanted to. So many decided to stay, but some traveled all the way back to their homeland. And when they saw the state of Jerusalem and of the country, they were in shock because everything was ruins and it hadn't been maintained since the Israelites had left. Some people had even begun plowing it, not even growing it yet, just plowing it. So the place was, you could say, a mess. However, Ezra, who was one of the leaders, along with Joshua, so they encouraged the people, and they talked to them about God, and they encouraged them to continue the building. However, the people around them, the Samaritans, as they would later be called, the remnants of the Jews had not been taken in the second wave, the poorest of the poor, had intermingled with the surrounding nations that had moved in. It was the practice of conquering nations back then to basically exchange lands. Whenever they conquered two nations, they would send one into exile in the other's land, and vice versa. That way they wouldn't be able to stay in their homeland. So it would centralize their power. So those who had been sent in to the Judah area had intermingled with the remaining Jews, and these wanted to help build the temple as well in Jerusalem. But they remembered how they had been brought into exile in the first place because of intermarrying and how it had led them to idolatry. So they were rejected, and they started to try to dissuade the king from letting them continue the building. Eventually they succeeded, and the temple building was halted for 2 years, and this time they built their own houses. But eventually the prophets encouraged the people to restart the building, to not be discouraged, and another new king, which was now Darius, Darius III, found the articles that had declared from Cyrus to allow the Jews to rebuild, and so he declared that it was not to stop until they were finished. With Nehemiah later helping with the walls, they rebuilt the temple in the city of Jerusalem. So in this story we can see God's providence as he worked, because without him, the Samaritans and the surrounding nations who thought this was their land now, been sent in by the Babylonians, would have been prevailed, and the Jews would not have been able to rebuild the temple or their walls. So though they would face struggles, when they committed themselves to God's work, God blessed them. So in times of God's providence, let's be quick to act, and let's do God's work that he wants us to do. It's a lesson for this week. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to be doing the presentation. This time we're going to be looking at Romans verse 12, starting at verse 9. So these two verses are just looking at them quickly is telling us to love one another without disaffection, which is argument, to be kind to each other and to shout for each other. So this is it's talking about very simple etiquette. Like be polite, don't be mean, and ask questions nicely. Might seem like basic kindergarten stuff, but as young kids, as older kids, as young adults, and even the oldest of adults sometimes have problems with this. Especially the bigger the age gap, the bigger problem seems to be between gender, between race. Whatever seems to be different about people that seems to cause differences between them and how they speak to each other. But as you know, Christ wants us to all be unified in one body. So we need to work to be together to show Christ in us. Let's not do things out of personal gain or glory. Do it to benefit each other and to spread the message of Christ. Select presentation for this week. Hope you all enjoyed it. See you next time, but until then, bye.